Okay, thank you and good morning. This is the work session for GPA. Today's date is February 20th, 2025, and the time is 8:34. Mr. Beneventi, you have the floor, sir. I'm sorry, let me just read for the record. Members present are Commissioner Martinez, Commissioner Menchaca, Commissioner Santos, and online is Commissioner Duenas. Can you confirm, Commissioner Duenas? Thank you very much. We can hear you. Proceed.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Today, we have two resolutions for review and for your consideration of approval at the next week Tuesday's board meeting. And the first item actually is Resolution FY 2025-09, and this is relative to grant-funded new medical campus line extension and related power infrastructure. The power infrastructure that we're talking about really is, the work is for One Power Authority to construct an electrical substation, and underground power lines to service the new Manila Medical Campus, as well as the surrounding community. This electrical infrastructure project is necessary to address the anticipated needs of the new medical complex, as well as the growing needs of the GPA customers in the Manila area. Since by law, project funds must be spent by December 31st, 2026, time is of the essence for all of us, no? The location, I will show you on the map, the location of the infrastructure, but it will be built on a 2-acre parcel of land, part of a larger property purchased by the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, and now owned by the government of Guam. And the 2-acre lot will be transferred in fee simple to GPA after Gura rezones the entire property for public facilities use, which will allow for the substation. How much would it cost? The grant is 35,448,983.87, and it's available for expenditure up to incurred to December 31st, 2026. Because this sum is obligated for the project only and the governor has no other eligible projects, it cannot be reprogrammed to another project. So therefore, GPA has this rare opportunity to use this federal monies to build a much-needed substation with underground transmission lines that will benefit not only the new medical complex but also the stakeholders in the area, including educational facilities and businesses and homes. And again, when would it be completed? We're going to do everything we can, including having several bids to get this done by before December 31st, 2026. And what is the funding source? Is it through GIDA, who is a sub-grantor, will direct the funding with a sub-agreement with GPA. And again, the monies are awarded to Guam from the American Rescue Plan. So again, we expect to issue 2 or 3 solicitations to complete the various components of the project so we can expedite the completion. The first invitation for bids for design and construction of a Manila substation has already been prepared. The preparation of the other solicitations are also in the work and should be completed soon by our internal engineering group. We are completing the agreement between GIDA and ourselves for the funding as a sub-grantor, and that will be completed so that we can get it to you before the Tuesday meeting. No? Hopefully we'll get it to you no later than Monday morning or something like that, so you have an opportunity to review that. However, our legal counsel, Marianne, has put together a summary as to what the agreement entails, no? Some of the major points of the agreement, and is provided here provided here. And again, it shows you that GIDA will obligate the money. We will build the electrical power infrastructure. performance to begin as soon as possible after the agreement is signed. Again, must be expended by December 31st, 2026. Termination close within 90 days if necessary between Power GPA or GIDA implemented or GPA implemented. And again, at that point, the percentage of completion of the projects will be paid. Again, and of course, the other parts of how to submit the invoice and how do we get paid and all of that. So this is the funding is certified by the Department of Administration to GIDA. No, so that funding certification of availability is done through that basis. The location, if we can just show that. I wanted to I'd also give you a bigger picture, but unfortunately, I won't be able to do that maybe until Tuesday. But you throw it up somewhere. Okay. Here's Padilla. Here we are. Right across the street, there's that house. Talking about right away, right into here in the corner, 2 acres of property right here. So, and this is this area here, this color area here is the property that Gura has bought already and stuff. So again, this is where the substation will be, and any distribution lines now will feed out through here, go this way, go that way, feed the hospital area as necessary, and everything like that.
Where are you putting the underground lines, John?
The underground lines will be here, Route 15. They come out here and go all the way to Route 10, the Manila. So the only thing that we in the future will have to do is tie that from there to the Barragada substation, and then another project to the airport. That's the part of the transmission linking of the system. If you do that, then this facility will have an underground source of power.
When you say the airport, what do you mean?
The airport substation, okay, right up there, is actually already underground, tied into Ukudu. So all the just like right now, there's an underground facility going through from Harmon substation all the way to Anderson and down to Dedido. There's also one that goes to the Macheche. There's the one that goes to the airport. So now all we have to do is tie that airport to Barragada. Barragada is right in front of the MU Antalan, right? Antalan School. And then tie that to this Route 10. Now, right now, all of the power serving Manila is being served by the Barragada substation. And so that's quite a bit of distance. It feeds the University of Guam. It feeds the Dairy Road, Padre Dueñas area, all of that area. So this substation now will be the one that will begin to feed all of that and allow expansion. You could run an underground line from here now to cut across the towers here and hit GCC, GW, University of Guam, and all of those vicinity. It provides a huge benefit for the community, and in fact, our team has already been looking around trying to see where we might source a piece of property and look at planning towards putting in a substation. So this came up, and so it provided us again a major opportunity not only to meet whatever hospital needs or whatever, but also to meet the community
Where
needs.
exactly are they building the hospital?
Well, this is the if you go down a little bit this way, down. This is our Padian. So come this way, down the other way. the other way. Here somewhere. Okay. Oh. So again, here's our substation. This is the property they're on. I think these are the two properties that are under, have some combination. So they're talking about this area now, building a medical complex.
Are you planning on incorporating renewable energy, John? I'm sorry, not us. I'm talking about the hospital.
I'm not sure what their plans are, and again, this is why I know before the PUC or net metering regulations, we have to really, address that, because as time goes by under our net metering program, the non-net metering customers are subsidizing, no? So every time you put a solar, that means those are the group of people not going to be paying any of the bills and everybody else. So right now that cross subsidization is about $5 million a year. It could grow to 10, 15 million or more very quickly when you have organizations like this. You have the airport. And again, it's free money, right? Which it could be good for the island. But really, they need to pay at least their fair share of the grid. But again, that's an issue that will be addressed, right? So, yeah, if they get grant money and all of that to put in solar, it'll be fine. It's just we have to make sure
I'm not even sure who you asked.
Yeah.
Are you asking the governor or you're asking Gita? Today, there is no project lead for this thing, right? At least as far as I know.
There's no design yet, anything like that, for the facility. All that's known is that that's where they're going to put it. All we know is that to put it there, we need to put this substation, and this is how much it will cost. So we gave a cost of overhead, and we gave a cost for underground. And of course, they want it underground, no? So that's why it's 35 million instead of about, I believe it was 17 million or so, no?
Are they asking for our help on the requirements for a backup generator?
Not that I'm aware of now. Yes.
Why would they though? That's not within
No, I mean-
GPA's scope of.
That would be.
Given our history, Commissioner Chaka, with helping out GMH, I would hope that they come to us and, at least ask. I think we're the subject matter experts on this stuff. I'm just saying we should be in front of this as opposed to after the fact and find out that.
I mean, I think when it's time to design the facility and all of that, it would be in their best interest if they ask us to be a part of the review committee, no? So that we can ensure that you have one, first and foremost, they do have adequate standby generator. Because no matter which way you put it, we put underground, you still need your own standby generators.
I would be very concerned if they have a designer that does not take
Everything in consideration.
backup generation in consideration for a hospital. It's just, that would be you've got the wrong designer.
Thank you.
Our plan, our part on this is to make sure that we, on the distribution system for the hospital, is that we do loop it, no?
Yeah.
So that if we have a problem this way, they serve the hospital. So there's that opportunity to make that happen for this.
So were we going to go through the sub-grantee summary? You said you had something. You're going to show that now?
Page 9.
What page? That's where you start in the statement, okay.
Yeah, that's where we have a summary and they're working on the draft. It's already put together. It's just that,
Yeah, I just wanted.
yeah.
But basically, GPA is now an awardee of the grant directly, and all the assets that the grant's going to fund are GPA assets. They're not the medical. They're not the hospital's assets.
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, you're correct. In everything that we do, the grid belongs to has to be transferred over. Even if a developer puts it in, we own, and we have to have the right of ways and all for the transformers, all of that. So yes, there's no, in no uncertain term, this will all be transferred to GPA and for use at large. No?
We are the sub-grantee of GITA. GITA is the grantee of DOA and the governor. The governor is the one who gets the grant. He gave it to Gita. Gita is distributing it to agencies, and of which we are one.
And they have the authority to,
Yes, through the grant agreement between DOA and Gita, they have the authority to issue sub-grants, which is what they've done for GPA and, other agencies.
Okay. So, Mike, I'm sorry, Commissioner Talton?
I think Melvin.
No, go ahead. Why don't you finish first? And Melvin, Commissioner Duenas, hang on. Let me have Commissioner Chalco if he still has any more questions.
No,
Okay.
she answered me.
Commissioner Duenas, proceed.
This has underground for the hospital side of the house, but on the distribution side, the first phase it will be the funding for the transmission into the sub, no? And then we'll be discussing within ourselves whether as we go down that way, do we put in conduits for distribution lines so that when we are ready, we just put wires instead of having to dig up the road again. So again, that's yeah.
Very good projected things.
Yeah.
The conduit
Yep.
is important practice doing it good to
That's correct. Because yeah, because our quest again going forward is to go underground. We've asked FEMA. We've asked hopefully we get a chunk of money that really now we can utilize and this and okay underground all the way to the university, underground major water wells, all that stuff. So that's our quest that we're trying to push towards some kind of reality this year. No?
Commissioner Martinez?
John, so the funds has to be expended
By December of next year.
2026.
Yeah.
So do we have time to do all of this, put it out in the construction?
Time is of the essence, and that's what we're doing right now. We're going to go out with a bid, design build for the substation, and we're going to have another bid for the transmission line, and then a third bid or a provision to make sure that one of the things they order right away are all the materials, so that we'll have a provision in there that as long as the parts and materials are on island, we can count it as payment as such. Usually we wait until the completion of the project is installed and everything, but as long as those are there, we can expend that way. And that way we finish it after that, then at least we got most of it involved. But yes, our team is working real hard to make this happen, and that's why we're trying to move it forward as soon as quickly.
So if in the event, because the hospital is going to come later down
Right.
the line, once the construction is finished, we can already use the substation for
Correct.
Barrigada, Manido.
Correct. Irrespective of whether the hospital is built or what phase of it is there, the substation will be there to service the community, and the funds were intended for us to make it happen. Yeah. So that's why we call it an opportunity for something that really will be good for the community, in the Mangilo area. And again, we all know our quest is to first of all put transmission lines, the next distribution lines to water wells, wastewater, communication stations, medical facilities, and all of that. So our hospitals are all underground and stuff. So this one will be at least close to underground. We may be able to just find another grant to underground from the airport to there, just doing, because then the priority becomes higher for those circuits. That's all I have on this
Okay,
one,
so
teacher.
I have my own set of questions, so we can start. So Let's go to page 9.
Okay. Yep.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if this is a Mary Ann question or a... The sub-agreement is between GITA and GPA, and John B. is the signatory in this agreement, because it doesn't require the CCU. We're simply blessing it, right? Correct?
Yes, that's correct, because it's just, it's grant money from
Right.
the federal government,
Okay.
you know,
And
originally.
No PUC approval.
You know, the PUC requires notice of projects over 1.5 million, which are completely reimbursable. We did this with the Erodi project, where we had to do some new generators for them. So the PUC can weigh in if they want to, but normally they haven't.
But we're informing them.
We will do that, yes.
It's just part of our process of working them.
Yeah.
So then my next question is, if you go down into early termination, so the second item there is GITA's payments to GPA must add up to the percentage of total funding corresponding to the percentage of GPA work. Who's the checker in this one?
We will be submitting invoices to GITA, which, you know, they would review, and there are also federal auditors, so they have reporting requirements. We have reporting requirements, so we would be keeping track of these things, both parties at least.
Okay.
But you're also getting progress invoices from your contract.
Correct.
Based on how far they are through the project. So that's what you're basing your invoices to GITA on anyway, right?
Right. And
Do
again,
we have-
including material,
Are we
whatever.
requiring a
should-
performance bond on the contractor that we're contracting with?
We
That's-
normally do that with an IFB, like that's required by the procurement law, so I don't see
It'll be
any
in the-
need
it'll be
for,
in the bid.
It'll be in the bid.
no need
okay.
for an exception to that.
So explain to me what's GPA's out-of-pocket expenses. John B., what is that? It's on the scope or summary. I'm just wondering what that is.
Other out-of-pocket expenses.
Just G&A, right? You have a certain amount. You're going to have your staff here
Yeah.
organizing the bid packets, tendering the bids. Those are all
Sorry,
GPA.
Okay. So then the next one down there is, what do they mean by advance payments?
normally we don't ask advance payment, but in the event, this is theirs, in the event that they gave us advance payment for something, that's also included in the termination clause for returning that if necessary, but we don't ask for advance payment. I mean, there's under any contract, there's sometimes mobilization costs or whatever, but that's all part of the initial contract phase.
But those are also
Yeah.
progress payments, right? You're going to get billed
Yeah.
for mold costs from your contract. and then
Everything
you're going to
really-
submit that to GITA reimburse.
You're correct. Everything really has to be tied in with some work done or progress payment.
Now, you had mentioned though, John, that if you have parts on island, let's say that you have some transformers, some wires or whatever,
Yeah.
you're going to actually expense your in-house inventory towards that project, and then you're going to place a PO to replenish those.
No, actually, because most of these are not inventory items.
Okay.
These are big transformers, big switch gears, different things like that.
Okay. Because you mentioned if there's stuff on island, did you mean with
No,
other
what I mean
vendors?
is that at least it's ordered, delivered, and
Oh.
stored for installation. Then we can count that as an expended item.
Okay, as long as it's
Which
received.
means we will have to hold ownership of that.
So received but not installed.
Otherwise, we have to wait until every last detail commissioning of the project made, and that could result in some costing maybe that's not accounted for or not included, right? I think. And we will work with the grantor all the way through, make sure all of our expenses are documented and are acceptable.
Is there any concern with not completing it on time and then GPA being responsible for funding the remaining of the?
That's what that is a concern. However, we're gonna do everything we can to make it go as far as possible. No? And at the end, hopefully, there is an opportunity for an extension if necessary. However, if an extension is not provided, then it just means that, okay, we got 25 million out of the 35, and we may have to put the balance of 10 or so to complete the project. But at least we got 25 million. No? Okay.
And you were saying that you were already looking at installing a similar type of substation in the general area to begin with?
Yes, our team was looking for land area and everything where we were going to install a substation because Manilo community is growing. And again, the closest substations that serve the community is like the main breakers is Barrigada and the other one is at Pulantec. The Manilo right in the beginning and is growing. University of Guam, everything is growing in the area. And of course, case in point, if medical campus does expand in that area, all of a sudden the demand is going to go up in this area, which again will start to tax the transformers in Barrigada and stuff. Here, the transmission line will provide, again, a different set of transformers that will now be able to carry all this load.
Mr. Duenas, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just got a comment that since this is planning in the stage where focus is forward and we're getting federal government projecting into the future on this project, on this area, because I know we do need a substation, but maybe there's a future proposal for getting a gas turbine on that site, because in case we have a hiccup from the big plant, this is a very important project where the hospital is. So it's just something I thought we can think about, because most of our gas turbine are up north. There's nothing in that Manila area. I know substation is okay, but I think it's good to be thinking to how to integrate a smaller unit, just in case we go totally blackout, we're able to at least have a gas turbine over there.
Okay. Yes. Go ahead, Commissioner King, this is for council then. So in other words, the funds must be expended by December 31st, 2026. So if construction overruns, okay. In other words, that money is already obligated.
We have to spend it by that date. We can submit invoices up to 30 days afterward. I think that's the deadline for submitting invoices. So the work that we will get paid for is the work that we have done up until the end of that year, 2026. If we still need to do more work, like we were discussing just now, we might have to pay for that ourselves, but overall, this is a good project that's necessary even without the hospital, and we can get a lot of funding for it. We will try to use up all of it, of course.
I agree. And I guess my question would be is that 35 million comes in and bid, 34 million comes end of December 2026. We only expended 30 million, we got 4 more million to carry on. And we still keep 4 million continuing on that project.
You know, I think not from this grant unless an extension is granted to us. So far, we have not heard that extensions will be granted, but things may change.
And then again, as we move closer, we have options we can look at to complete this project. To complete it in the cheapest possible way, as soon as possible. Possible way is to finish the rest in overhead if necessary. We have options to, one way or the other. We're that close. We're gonna get this project with minimal cost to the authority. No? But at least we got that far. And again, our team, they understand the complexity now, and they are trying to figure out alternatives as we move along, so that we have some flexibility in the contracts that we have. And more importantly, we are laying it out to the contractor that this must be done by so and so. If it means that that they have to double up, then they have to double up. No, we're not worried about. And I'm not speaking for the engineers. I'm speaking for myself. I'm not worried about the underground light. I'm worried about making sure that the substation, and the substation, of course, is the design build, right? But the biggest thing is ordering the transformers and stuff and getting it here in place. Constructing it, our team are quite efficient. We can do various things too, no? But it's getting the heavy pieces of equipment here.
And the design build is the fastest route to
Yeah.
completion.
Otherwise, and again, part of it is, as I noted before last time, no, we have a team of engineers, right? But we have been, people have been retiring, hiring new ones, so we're transitioning. So the best way is get somebody to do it, and we'll review it. Our team is very strong in making sure they are, it's compliant with what we need, and so it would be the fastest way to get this done. And again, early on they can trigger different events. Okay, we agree. Start ordering the transformer. This much as early on in the design. We don't care whether the building is like this or order the transformer. That type of stuff.
Anything else? Okay, so I got another question, Marianne. They cited the certifying officer statute. Who is the certifying officer for this project?
Our certifying officer would probably be the GM or our CFO or his designee.
Okay, but if we're not receiving the funds, technically we're not, right? The funds are not going to be given to GPA.
It is a pass-through kind of agreement. It's like just like with a roadie, where the money passes through us. It came from the Navy. It passes through us to the people who sell the generators.
And we paid for it. We paid it up front. In the case of a roadie, what did we do?
They give us the money.
I think. They gave us. Oh, Ms. Sablon knows, or Admiral.
Intergovernmental agency agreement, and under that agreement, we're allowed to work with them to do projects. So this particular agreement allows also for them to advance pay. So they give us the money in advance, and then we award a contractor to do the work, and then as the contractor does the work, we pay them. But we have that money already. They've already delivered it to us.
Okay, so please clarify then, is that what we're doing with this particular grant? Doesn't sound that way, but.
I will find out for sure. I will
Okay.
find out for sure.
So let me go back then to my question. The certifying officer then is my good friend John Kim, the assistant CFO, and Mr. Beneventi. So can we expect that your good friend A.G. Moylan is going to serve Mr. Beneventi, Mr. Kim, and the assistant CFO with another threatening letter?
We can't predict what the AG will do,
Right.
but if he does serve a letter, it won't be the same as the one that GWA got, because that one cited a statute that doesn't apply, as explained in the resolution. So if they were to send a letter, it would have to be something different. The letter that was sent to GWA doesn't have any merit, we believe, and similarly, we don't see that this one would either. This is purely grant funds that are passing through to us for administering for a project that's approved. It's not a legislative appropriation. I'm not sure what the AG's objection would.
I'm just preparing ourselves for, I mean, his MO is clear. He's made it known to even God that this project will not proceed. Okay, but notwithstanding what he thinks, all I want to do is make sure that, I mean, he's tracking, it's clear, his MO is clear, right? I'm sure that he's already preparing something once we get this resolution approved on Tuesday, assuming we all vote yes, then he might just come back to us. I just want to make sure, Mary Ann, that on our side, we're clear that this draft agreement, this agreement that the CCU is going to authorize John Beneventi is, I'm not saying it's going to be foolproof, but I don't want the CCU, more importantly, John B. to say, you know, we knew what was going to happen, why did we even proceed? Right? It just doesn't make any sense, because if you read everything that's contained in these, I went and I read it, Marianne, it's clear, right? The funds are going to be expended. I want certainty as how the process is going to work, because if the money's not really coming into GPA, then I can say our hands are clean. But if you just describe what happened with the Erodi project, that money may end up in GPA, then we're the certifying officers for this particular project, and then now John Kim might be criminally liable according to the AG Moylan. Yeah. Okay. So again, Commissioner Jock, you're nodding your head, but he's already served GWA.
It's different though.
Yeah.
It's the grant funds are being given directly to GPA for GPA assets. Has nothing to do with the medical complex. It serves the medical complex
That's right.
as a customer, but it's GPA assets are getting the funds or expending it for GPA assets. So I disagree with the logic.
Again, I would just say that if you're telling me that and we're putting a hospital that's going to be tied to our asset, then okay, that's fine. You guys will vote the way you're going to vote on Tuesday. All right, I'm good. Anything else, commissioners? Okay, next resolution.
Yeah, go ahead, Brett.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next resolution is Resolution FY 2025-11. And again, this is relative to authorizing management of GPA to file a ratepayers bill of rights notice in anticipation of filing a petition for a base rate adjustment with the Public Utilities Commission. Public Law 26-12, known as the Ratepayers Bill of Rights, requires, among other things, that a notice must be placed in a newspaper of general circulation at least 3 months before an anticipated petition of a base rate increase, which describes the rates for which the authority is petitioning. So again, we can't petition yet until we file this Bill of Rights notice. No? Public Law 26-12 also requires the authority to mail a notice to every ratepayer at least 1 month before submitting the proposed rate to increase to the Public Utilities Commission. So after, of course, subject to your approval, next Tuesday, or this coming Tuesday, we will file the publication, and then send out, after that, sometime send out the notice to each of the ratepayers, and then petition the PUC sometime around 90 days after, again, 9 days after we file the publication, which will be about late May or early June. And that's when the PUC will begin to consider the rates as filed. No? With Unit 198 combined cycle power plant, Okudu Power Plant is scheduled to be commissioned in September of 2025 this year. The base rate adjustment is necessary to cover the cost of the Okudu Power Plant, and the plant is 37% more efficient than Cabras, 22% more efficient than PD8 and 9, And this efficiency again will help import 930,000 fewer barrels of oil per annum, and the fuel efficiency will offset the base rate adjustment that is being requested and provide net savings to the ratepayers. We do have a presentation by our consultant, Mr. Mark Beecham, that will go through the process of how we went through to evaluate what is the necessary rate adjustment to meet our obligations, again, not only to pay the power plant, but maintain our financial ratios like debt service and having enough cash to be able to do capital investment. After his presentation, then Mr. Kim will pass actually a sample of each of the rate categories for the customers that we're going to publish, which shows within it the change in the base rate, the new LEAC rate anticipated with this duration, and the net savings to the customers. I would like to, just before I let Mr. Beecham make this presentation, I would just like to bring everyone back, if you will, Mr. Chairman, to why did we build the new power plant, and what was the main purpose, and of course what was the goal, no, if you will. Okay. So, if you would you put up my one pager? It's just a very quick scenario. Excel. And I apologize, it was hot off the press this morning, but I thought maybe this will also help in the overall discussions as you review the process, Mr. Chair, and everyone else actually. More importantly, I think the community and other media and everything need to really know why did we build the new power plant, no? So I'd like to bring us back as to really, first and foremost reason was to comply with U.S. regulations and avoid hundreds of millions of dollars in penalties, which was about 352 million estimated as of August of 2019 and climbing. We had EPA regulations to meet that we couldn't meet unless we made changes to the power plant. We looked at possibly putting scrubbers and stuff at Cabras power plant, but that would have cost millions of dollars to put into a 40-year-old machine that may not last another 10, 15 years to serve the community. So after much deliberation by the CCU and everyone, the GPA, it was concluded the best option was to put a new power plant into place that would actually make us comply with the regulations of the US EPA, and then furthermore pay for itself. And this is what we mean. The fuel savings due to efficiency will pay for the machine itself and have a net savings for the ratepayers. So again, on track, yes, to be achieved, yes, September 30. Consent decree has been signed and compliance is on track. Replace the Cabras 1 and 2. Again, costly upgrades are needed for regulations. It is today 50 and 51 years old, no? So and stuff. So yes, we're on track, and within 6 months after Ukudu's commission, the retirement of Cabras 1 and 2 as required by the consent decree that we signed in the federal court, no? Low growth, capacity added to the grid, yes, to be achieved. The capacity is available by not immediately retiring all the other, everything else except the consent decree requirement of Cabras 1 and 2. The other power plant provides us load as we move forward, get more batteries, stuff, so eventually we can retire older and older units down the road. But again, it will allow us to meet the growth that is before us. Increased renewable integration, yes, the new machine, as it will show, works very well with renewables. Not like the baseload units that are of our legacy units that, of course, were not meant to move up and down. They were meant to sit there and purr 24/7 at certain maximum loads. Net savings on customer bills, yes, that's what was provided and to be achieved. And again, we will be filing, with your approval, the package that will be presented to you today with the PUC to be effective September 1st of this year, including the corresponding LEAC to address this. Now, again, the Ukudu commissioning is no later than September 30 of this year. Ukudu has one unit already up to 39 megawatts. The rest of the units will be tested within the month of March. And then after that, the other part, the combined cycle steam turbine. So I think they were well on their way to commissioning, of course, in September, but certainly I think it'll be a little earlier than that, no? And as a reference, I provided to the Commission a presentation to the General Manager on August 19, 2019, justifying award of the Ukudu power plant. And in that presentation, and in your packet, it shows that there, for the highlights here, it gives you the different reasons why or kind of justifies what we expect would happen. So I was reading that, and it kind of brought back, oh boy, we are meeting that. So I think it's important that all of this are there. But the last one here, is there a net savings to the customer bill as noted? As you will see from Mr. Beechon's presentation and from Mr. Kim's presentation, the net savings to the customers is actually higher than what we have projected in Mr. Beechon's presentation in 2019. No? Good. So with that, Mr. Chair, unless you have any questions on this, I'd like to, again, you may be aware, but if not, John, can you introduce Mark?
This is Mr. Mark Puchet. He's from Utility Financial Solutions. He's been helping us with our rate cases and load analysis since 2019.
Okay. Hello. Well, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here again. I love the island of Guam. Last time I was here, I think it was 2019, right before COVID. The island's changed a little bit. And I want to start by, before I go to my presentation, tell you a little bit about me and my company. My name is Mark Boscia, of course. I'm a CPA. I have an MBA. And I spent 17 years working for a municipal system in Michigan. And in 2001, I formed my own consulting practice. And we teach the cost of service courses and the financial planning courses for the American Public Power Association. We've done work in 45 U.S. states, as well as the islands of Barbados, Bermuda, and of course Guam. And we do on average about 200 to 250 electric cost of service studies annually at our company. So what I'm here to talk about and discuss is a rate adjustment and a rate track. And when I say rate track, what I mean by that is how we should change rates moving forward, percentage-wise. I'm going to present two rate tracks to you today. One is one increase in 1 year. The other one is a phased-in rate adjustments over a period of years, which is unusual. I know that you have never done that before. At least I'm not aware of it. But that's where more utilities are moving with these phased adjustments. But that, of course, I want to give you that option. I want to go through the financial modeling that we developed and the cost of service study. What a cost of service study is how how much it costs to serve each class of customers compared to the projected revenues. All right. And then the last part is the rate design. And what you're going to see in this rate design, what a rate design is actually saying, okay, we need to increase rates by X. The cost of service study might say this, but this is how we're going to actually adjust the rates. All right. And so if we go back to 2019, when we did the initial study, it said that to pay for the plant, the new plant, we would need a base rate increase of 8.4%. And with that base rate increase, customers would see approximately an 8.1% rate reduction because of, the fuel costs decreasing, the LEAC. What I'm showing now, and I'll explain why the cost changes as I go through the presentation, but we're proposing a 33% increase in base rates. This is what's going to sound weird, that's going to represent a 12.4% reduction to customers. That's the weird part. How can I increase the percentage more, but say the rates are going to go down even by a greater amount? And the reason is when all my analysis is based on actual 2024. Fuel costs were higher in 24, all right? And when you put in the Yucado plant, overlay it, because fuel represented about 70% of the total cost in Guam for electricity back in 2024, where in 2019 it only represented about 55%. So because of that, the savings that are projected for customers are higher when fuel costs are high and lower when fuel costs are lower. Does that make sense? All right. So I want you to understand that and I'll explain what changed and what caused the 8.4 to go to 33%. Okay. So you can go to the next slide. What you're seeing here is, it might be better if I went up to the, thank you. Now, when our test year, our base year, was 2024. All right, so that was our starting point. From that, we have to make certain assumptions moving forward. Those assumptions and cost changes were that inflation would be 3%. Okay? We assumed a 1% growth, and fuel changes a 1%, but this is the capital improvement expenditure. This first one is a pipeline payment of $40,000. This is the annual capital expenditures, primarily for distribution investment. And this is the new generating plant. So this is the capital improvement plan that we projected for the next 5 years. And this is the projected debt issuances to pay for the capital. Right? We have 2 bond issuances, $628 million in 2026, and in 2027 an additional $40 million in debt issuance. Right. Those are the key assumptions that we use. Do you want to go to the next slide? Now, when you look at the new generating unit, the modeling that we developed to project the fuel costs and the savings, we did an hourly, what's called a dispatch model. So we dispatch each resource based on what the system needed using 2024 hourly usage. And we also looked at what the heat rate was going to be in this new generating unit. And the current MEC units, which is your most efficient generating unit, produces about 20 kilowatt hours get it, right? The new generating unit is projected. I'm sorry. Get this backwards. The new generating unit is 22% more efficient than the existing one. And the fuel cost savings is about $115 million. And most of your generating units that would not be operational now, they're even less efficient than the MEC units, with costs that are this unit is 50-60% more efficient than some of the others. All right, that's why the fuel savings are $115 million. Now, you can go to the next slide. So if we did nothing at all with rate, we just left them where they are today, put the new generating unit in, customers would see a savings of 22% based on 2024 comparison. It's really important because I have to pick a base year, so it's the costs that were in place in 2024. But if we did this, a couple things happen. One, in 3 years, we run out of money. All right? We project that you should maintain a minimum cash reserve of about $100 million a year, or in your reserves at all times. Your cash, without any rate adjustments, is $35 million. And you can see it decreasing and falling negative in 2028. The other thing that happens, your debt coverage ratios. You have revenue bonds, and you have to maintain a minimum debt coverage of a 1.25, I believe. And if you fall below that, you're in technical default on your debt. So to make sure that doesn't happen, especially since electric sales are so dependent on weather, so many bad things happen to the infrastructure, we target a minimum coverage, 1.4. Okay? You can see that without a rate change, we're looking at a 1.06 debt coverage, which would be in violation of the bond order. So you can go to the next slide. So this is the first rate track. Now this first column is just the distribution rate adjustment. The second column is how the customer's bill will change. Remember the previous slide, it said it will go down 22. With that, a 33% increase in distribution rates, customers would see about a 13% a month savings. And that's based on 2024 costs. And actually, they'll probably see more than that. And the reason is because the fuel costs projected for next year are supposed to be lower than what they were in 2020. That's going to be on top of this, that saving. With this 33% adjustment, you can see the debt coverage, we're above the 1.4 minimum. Cash balances, we're looking at trying to stay above $100 million. In 26, we're very close. And then we exceeded in each of the subsequent years until 2030. We start falling short with this rate track. So it's possible, depending on the growth, that 2030, we may need another rate adjustment. Small. Can you go to the next slide? I wanted to present this rate track because when I look at the customer and customer impact, obviously it would be nice to have a lower rate adjustment up front of 10 and then move it slowly over time. But there's downfall also. There's also another positive is when I get to the next section, which is the cost of service, you're going to see certain classes, such as residential, that are not paying what they should for the use of the distribution system and being subsidized by other classes. Well, if we just had one rate change of 33%, it makes it very difficult for me to try to correct any of those cost of service issues. Where if I have a series of rate adjustments, then now I have the ability to make small incremental changes where I give the residentials maybe a little bit more of an increase than the other classes to slowly move them toward cost of service, if that's the desire of the board. So with this rate track, it's a 20% increase, which leads to a 16% decrease overall, the overall bill, and then a series of 4-6% adjustments. And in the subsequent years, customers would see about a 2.5% increase in their bill. So in other words, they're going to get a bigger decrease up front, and then we'll take it back slowly over the next 5 years. But by doing that, we have now the ability to also change the rates more frequently to move slowly toward cost of service. Now with this rate track, you can see we're just barely hovering around our minimum cash until 2030. We do this rate track. Debt coverage, we're meeting our requirement. So you can go to the next. So the new generating units, as Mr. Bonaventi had mentioned, there were a lot of reasons why that generating unit was put in, besides lower rate. We knew up front that fuel costs would go down, but we would need a base rate increase. But there were other benefits to it, as far as improved reliability of the system by having additional capacity that's more reliable with less maintenance, less downtime. The EPA fine, rather than continually building up those EPA fines, we'd be able to eliminate that issue. Renewable energy, when you have a solar, for example, as you probably are well aware, solar is intermittent, goes up and down. Okay. Well, electricity has to be produced when a customer needs it. So batteries help to some, but it's not like water. We have a big storage. It has to be produced at the time it's used. So with a generating unit such as this, it can track that variability in solar. So when solar production goes down, this unit can ramp up quickly to make up the difference. All right, to keep everything, to make sure the system has the appropriate amount of power going into the you can go to the next slide. Now, I want to go through some of the cost difference. Why I went from 8.4 to 33% increase. One of the major ones is by delaying the installation of the generating unit from 23 to 26. And what happened is the contract has inflationary adjustments, certain components of it, which drove the cost up. They would have been there anyway, even under the original agreement or projection had they been in place in 23, because those were automatic within the contract. So what you're seeing here is those automatic inflationary adjustments being put in place in 26 rather than 20. Plus inflation was higher than what we anticipated. So when you look at the production cost, this is where the plant costs are going in. We're projecting it to be 70 million now. We're back in 2019, we projected it to be 48 million. That's a $23 million increase in that production cost line. That 10 million of that is because of that inflation. Another part of it is when we did the original projection, it was assumed that the other generating units, other than Cabris 1 and 2, but those would be decommissioned, but the other ones would be also. And we're keeping those online. So we still have the maintenance on those units to keep them available. And again, we're doing that for reliability. Another thing that's happened is sales. When it was projected in 2019, we projected Navy growth and we projected civilian growth, right? The Navy was from the projections that they gave us. Civilian growth, believe it or not, even with COVID, our projection now is really pretty much on track for civilian, what we did in 2019. But the Navy is 10% lower, which by reduced sales means we have to recover that cost from someplace else. And that's through these base rate adjustments. So the increase in total, $31 million higher now than it was in 2019. Again, that's 3 years later. Now, this is a slide I think is best one to understand, because this tells the difference is why we proposed the 8.4 and now why it's 33. It's because of these costs. Is there any questions on this slide?
Yep. Can you please explain the other production inflationary rate there? Their calculations are like 47% increase. Tell me where that inflation number increased 47% from 2023 to 2026. And it can't be from $10 million in from Ukadu. What over the course of 3 years caused it to inflate 47%?
Well, it's part of it is because we're keeping the other generating.
What other generators?
John B, you want to help me with that? Because we're going to shut down most of the other generating units. Now we're just shutting down Cabris 1 and 2. And so the other generating units, we still have the O&M.
The other generators are the combustion turbines and all of that. So that's all the there is. The plan has always been to, the plan in 2019 was to retire perhaps a couple of combustion turbines,
Yeah.
and maybe 10 units to reduce costs. But that's not possible today with the growth that is before us. And again, the cost of these sales, the sales are really a significant part here. In 2019, you were predicting something like 1.7, 1.8 billion kilowatt hours of sales. Today, we're still at around the 1.5 billion. And part of that is although we're on track now with the 2019, we lost 3 years of projected growth that in the projections. We're just coming out of the COVID-19, 2019, this was the level. We're just now in 2025 getting right back here. And then there's supposed to be growth from the Navy, military growth and all of that. But as you will see from our projections later, Mr. Beecham is conservatively limiting that growth to around 1% per year. If it does come in higher, then it's good. But as we can see earlier, that growth, although it was anticipated, did not happen.
Yeah, I'm not even discussing the revenue projection right now. I want to understand why there's a 47% increase in your production costs. Where did that come from? And please tell me what costs are loaded in there
Part,
to get to that.
part of it is that, remember, we're converting, and again, I don't have those numbers right in front of me, but I would assume the reason why the current operating costs is because the cost to run there's two cost components for Okudu, no? One is the capacity fee, which is about 40 million. The balance of it, of about 77 million, about 37 million now, is that operating cost. That's fixed labor, overhauls, everything, right? Our operating costs for Cabras is not anywhere close to that. Operating cost of Cabras is probably around 10 million. So there's a huge operating cost that comes in with the Okudu power plant.
No, but those you would have had a projection on when you signed the agreements, right? We
Yes,
knew
yes,
what those costs are.
yes.
So tell me, how do we not know, or tell me where that $10 million change came from that you did not already project?
Yeah, Johnny, you wanna check where, I'm not sure where that.
So, when we did this, the inflation was really low at 2019, so practically flat during, then also during the, you understand this was supposed to be operational back in 2022. So our inflation in 2019 was flat, 2020 was kind of flat, 21 is actually slightly going up. It's near the end of 2020, 2020, near the year 22, 23, we see some increase going up, and we saw a huge increase in 24. So that inflation adjustment, the inflation adjustment from 2019 to 24 of the December was 22%. So that's how. 5 years? Yes, 5 years. It went up 22% in the last 5 years.
So for Tuesday, John, I want to see a graph showing what you're referring to by year
Yes.
and the what resulted in the $10 million.
Yes. So about $6.5 million was due to inflation. The other about $1.8 million was due to a change in law. What happened is before, this is when we were signing it. After we signed the contract, there was a change in law regarding the disposal of the water. So they had to add new water tank for storage, and also newer fees to dispose the waters. So that was added on later on. So that was about 1.7 due to change in law.
This is
Yeah.
this is a federal EPA change.
Yes, it's a federal EPA requirement.
So I want to know that law, and
Okay.
I want to know how you calculated where those costs came from. So that's is that an annual cost increase? So this
yes.
10 million is every year?
Yes, the water disposal fee, we put it in as additional cost. It's about, the low end is about $1.5 million annually, just to get rid of the water.
That was part of, there was an amendment to the contract for the investment, additional cost, which was, we started out with 570 something, we brought it down 520, and then brought it up a little bit to cover the change in law and everything. So that component was the capital investment. So John is pointing out that that also had an impact on the operation and maintenance. So that's part of it. Okay, he'll show that.
I just want to mention, I apologize. I was just looking at the original projection in 2019. We did only assume Cabras 1 and 2 would go down. I misspoke on that. So,
Do you see, so that other production, the costs, that 70 million? After 2026, do you see a reverse on that moving forward?
No, that's only going to increase, right? Don't we have annual inflationary?
Annually inflationary and stuff.
But there's a cost. There's an inflation on the Ukudu's rates of as well, right? There's progressionary rate increases from them.
But again, what this is showing, Grammy and Ron, but Mark, the first of all, my recommendation will be looking more towards the one time versus the step. And the reason for that is we really coming in step. That's a lot of work again, just trying to go through the rate process for the different changes. The Our goal is to try again to live within our rate structure, just like we did from 2012 to 2025. We didn't increase the rates, right? And so that's why I'm more for the upfront first one. There are, and so with sales coming in, the other costs and everything, what Mark is saying is that you're not looking at any more rate increase as far as 2030, so on. So to answer your question, does it go up? Yes, it goes up, but also with sales and other things, then it's offsetting the scenario. No? Yeah.
So we are getting a breakdown on the $10 million increase that's associated with the Ukadu inflation. Okay, where is the other 12 million coming from, or almost 13 million? So when you said other production costs, what other units are we accounting for almost a $13 million increase annually? These are annual numbers, right?
Yes, that's an annual number.
Where is that other production?
I can get you the.
Yeah, we can get you that.
Okay.
Because it's very detailed. We have the model. John, you can print out what those numbers are so we can show.
Yes,
And maybe we're not representing everything that we're talking about right now. No? But it
are
is
we-
total, that's production cost, no?
Yeah.
Right? We're talking about
Other
production costs. So
Right,
yeah, it's
other
all very
production,
detailed.
I'm assuming, based on this other production reference, that you're referring to non-Ukadu generation, right?
Everything.
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
so,
CTs?
Yes, there'll be all our PDAM line. Yeah, that's there'll be Tenjo Agreco units.
so the Agreco units are temporary, so
Yes.
when are we gonna shut those down, and how is the numbers, that 13 million, gonna be reduced when you shut them down?
Yes. So we're paying the Agreco units. There's two Agreco units. The old Agreco units, the 40 megawatt. Then we have the newer Agreco, the 20 megawatt. The 20 megawatt Agreco units will be online until June of 20. After that,
So you have a production costs, other production costs built into here, that's you're basing your base rate increase, and you're gonna have that cost fall off in a year and a half? Are you reducing it?
yes. So all those Agreco units are going out, so that's already in the calculation. What's in there will be the MEC 809 cost. So we like Tenjo, Techi, all those other picking units.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but all other production includes everything, including Ukudu.
Yes.
It's everything. And
I
stuff.
just found
So what's happening is that based on what it is said, let's move a little bit to 2023. Okay, between now and then, they take out and this is where we need the waterfall or something to show all the different ups and downs that happen. Because the O&M for Ukudu does come up to about 30 some million per year. This is over and above, right, the capacity fee. That's always been around the 70 million, right? But then you take away Cabers 1 and 2, and so on. So other production costs, we need to see what we'll lay it out for you. But it's in the model.
What he said, we
Yeah.
need to see that.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you give us, for example, on the 2023 column, break it out for us? And for example, break out every single revenue, line there. Give us the base rate.
John, you have the model, right? You have the model. We can do that.
Yes. That's the model of each line item.
Right, so give
Give me, Jeff.
us the breakdown and how we come up with all those amounts. Okay,
Yeah, I'm not
that's,
gonna be able to give you a complete breakdown, but there is one item.
you have time to go over this, or do you want him to,
I don't mind going over it
no,
now.
because I mean, guys, everything you do here, you're gonna have to go in more detail to the
Oh, yeah.
PUC guys.
Exactly.
They're
sure.
more
This-
detailed than what we're gonna be. I mean, and then, of course, they're gonna hire a consultant to out-consult to you.
And matter of
Yeah.
fact, I kind of, I just, even in our discussion here, well, one of the things at Agreco that was mentioned, in this model, there's $8.2 million in the 2026 year.
Can you make that larger, Candace?
Just,
sorry,
just
yeah.
associated with the Greco, Mark?
Yeah, it's the, IPP cost for Agreco. This one. There you go. See this line right here? Agreco. That 8.2 million represents 9 months of the IPP costs on Agreco.
Okay,
And one of the things I did, and this is on me, this is correct for 26, but I did not remove it in the subsequent projected year. So in other words, your expenses are gonna go down by $8.2 million in 27. That I did not put in my model.
But we're the rate recommendation has this baked in, so how is it removed in subsequent years?
Well, this is how we remove it, how we make a decision, how it works. I'm gonna make the change real quick in the model. All right, see this, this is, it's really bad when your model goes funny right in the middle of the meeting. I'm gonna have to, I'm kind of embarrassed right now because my model, when I made a change, and I don't want to present something that has a high probability of being
No
incorrect.
problem, we can get to it, but my question is, if you have 8.6 million in the, baked into the projected rate increase, if that drops off in a year, then really we're increasing rates that have a $8.6 million component that we don't need to
You're correct.
in subsequent years.
What will happen, if you go back to this adjustment, it's not that the 33% maybe isn't necessarily needed, but what will happen is all my cash balances will increase, yeah.
Coverage ratios will increase, but that's not the goal. We're not
Correct.
trying to, build up cash. We want to pass that savings along to the ratepayer.
Yeah, and there's, what we can do is I can rerun this, because if you look at this, that's 8.2 every year. So the cash will be like in year 2027, would be about 135 million instead of 121. And then in 2028, it would be 16 million higher than that, or about 130 million. And then in 2029, it would be about 24 million higher. So it'd be about 125 million.
Right, my
Yeah.
intent would be to reduce the rate increase.
Yeah. We can do that.
In order to pass that savings along, not build up cash reserve, not to build up debt coverage.
Let me ask you this. With this cash balance that I'm showing now, if that is correct, would you think that these cash balances are reasonable? The reason I say that is I can go back, remove that 8.2, get that in the model, recalculate that increase, bring it down, and then redesign the rates so you can look at them on Tuesday.
I think we would need to see it unless because I could tell you right now, I'm not going to make a decision on Tuesday if I'm just getting the information on Tuesday.
Yeah.
This is too important to do, to rush, so we either going to need to
Recess.
recess, so we can look at it, or we're going to need that information soon.
No, I think, I think I'm on track with Commissioner. This is too huge. This is, the last time we made a decision on this, we weren't even on this board. That was 2012. So the big issue for us is, again, we're trying to find any possible savings to give the ratepayer. But
Okay,
I think also, John B. and John Kim, tell us on, well, as you continue to go down the line, what is our estimated payment to Ukudu starting in September of 2025? Once we go online and we accept the production, what do we anticipate? Because I'm calculating $6 million a month at the minimum. If it's a $70 million contract, at the very least, it's $6 million. So in that $6 million, I think if I'm following John B's, about 30%, how much of that is fixed O&M?
So the fixed O&M is about $33 million.
So 2-point-something million off the 6 million?
I'm sorry.
If you can break down by,
If you want by per month.
what doesn't matter per month or
Yeah.
annually, just give us a breakdown of what we're looking at for O&M, and then I want you to compare that to what we're paying MEC. Because at some point, I think we've had this discussion with
Yes.
the former chair, when do we take out MEC?
Yes.
Where in any of our projections do we take out MEC? Because that's 10 million annually.
Yes, yes, that's part of the other production.
that's, if I may,
Yeah,
just,
John, again, John,
yeah,
because we
yeah.
start the discussion, right? We
Yeah.
need to, you need to educate us here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so may I suggest this, and again, we'll have Mr. Beecham rerun those numbers and all of that. We will have John K. Print the model that shows all the different costs per year. No? We will have John K. provide the annual capacity fee, variable O&M.
Yeah.
And then within that, we also have the fuel components. So, and listening to what Mr. Beecham says now, and of course that 8 million is there, okay, he can tweak it, change it, and we'll show an additional reduction and more savings to the customers, no? But if at least today allow us to let Mr. Beecham now finish what the rest of his...
Is he leaving?
No, he'll be here until...
No, okay, I'm just, yeah.
Let him go the balance of the calculations and any other questions that you may have, no? That we need to address as quickly as possible. And wait, if I may just finish, and I'm sorry, because otherwise I lose my train of thought. And then,
quiet on this thing,
and then,
but I'd like to say something soon.
yeah, if I may finish first, and then I can, if allow me to finish, then
Go ahead.
so then, what we'd like to do
I'd
is
like
take you
to say my 2 cents.
to where we're heading to, with based on what we have provided. This is the rates that are there that will go to the different customers. So at least everyone, we have a basis now that you make a final decision whether Tuesday or thereafter. You tweak the model based on your review and everything, and then this is the bottom line, which will still be a savings to the customer. Because I think if we may not leave here today without showing the customer that, you know, what we're trying to do is make sure that the savings is more and more to the customer. But the bottom line is, with everything that's been done, the ukudu and the cost that were projected or doing that, there is savings to the customer. But that's where I at least wanted to get to this point, that point today, no?
Yeah,
And that's
but just to go through the ask, okay, it's not just a Greco. I want a detailed analysis of all of the additional, all roughly $23 million in additional other production costs.
Not a problem.
I want to understand what those are and make sure that we've accounted for anything that is built in that is going to come offline. And we're going to, and the other thing is, if you're using the 2023 production costs, I want to make sure that any other CapEx that we did, the full expense isn't in that year, meaning that if we did some overhauls of the CT units, that those are, you know, amortized out for the life of whatever improvement you did. I'm assuming that's the case, that it's not all baked into when you expensed it.
Oh, yeah, the CapEx, whatever spent is not in the cost of.
Not in the
Just,
O&M.
okay, it's
Yeah,
outside of that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just pure O&M.
Just pure
O&M,
O&M, okay.
yeah, pure O&M, yeah.
And again, furthermore, I understood what the concern of Commissioner Chairman Santos. When do we do MEC? Well, again, I'd like to note that this is not a total full-blown rate issue, no, or regular, unless you want to make it. But what we're trying to do is be able to pay for Ukudu beginning September 1st. Mark is bringing out other issues, no, that could need to be looked at in the future, including when do we retire 8 and 9, or do we retire? They do CT 1 and 2 versus 8 and 9 and keep it, even though it's 10 million, but we take out 10 million somewhere else because we are getting 8 million that could last longer. Things like that, right? That will be, I would think, in further discussions as we go down the line. Not one that I believe will be something that I would recommend at this point in time, because there's still the unknowns of how far the load growth, what capacity are going to be there to meet that. So that's why in this rate case, we're not retiring anything. We're not recommending retiring anything other than Cabros 1 and 2. But understanding that there is
driven by the consent decree.
right, understanding that there potentially could be other savings that will come as we move forward, and we have refined the variables that are there before us. No.
Yeah. But could you go back to the other table, Mark, where you were talking about other production costs? Because I do want to make sure if we're going to do a deeper dive into it, I still have some questions on some of the other sections that you might as well do that in preparation for Tuesday.
Yes.
The other part, can you give us your assumptions? Why just a 1% load growth? I mean, given that the military has not yet completed its so-called expansion on Guam, why are we not anticipating that? And I gotta assume that at some point tourism is going to rebound, and that will hopefully, you know, our hotels will get back to some higher level of occupancy, and therefore they're demanding more power. And I mean, yeah, share your assumptions on
Well, we did.
on inflation and load growth and so forth.
The inflation, of course, is there, but the load growth, the 1% that we assume,
Is that as conservative as you can get?
that is
Mark?
very
Okay.
conservative, yeah.
Okay.
And one of the things I was going to ask the board toward the end of this presentation is discuss the Navy, because the rate, the Navy drives a lot of our decisions. with respect to
What
elected.
percentage of their consumption is built into this?
What is there, like 20, 30%?
Like 30% of our consumption,
Probably about
I'm saying
that, yeah.
production or whatever. And is the rate that we're charging the Navy at least neutral? Or are we charging them more?
Okay, I was explaining this to John a couple weeks ago also, is that, John, okay, when it comes to the Navy, all right, like a normal ratepayer, we want to charge them cost of service.
Okay,
No problem. The Navy wants to be charged cost of service. No problem. We can do that. But the issue with the Navy is when they're projecting these load growths, we're making decisions on that. But these load growths aren't necessarily happening and occurring. So there's another factor that needs to be taken into account. Other than just the plain cost of service, it's like if you want to give us a projection, we're going to bill you based on your projection, not on your actual demand. So in other words, if the Navy, right now they peak at about 46 megawatts in a year, and they're projecting to increase. So if they want 50 or 60 megawatts moving forward, we have to make decisions. This is a large customer that represents a huge amount of our system. And we need to plan for that. So if they want 60 megawatts, we're going to bill you for distribution usage for 60 megawatts. And not you're basing your actual usage, because we have all this capacity that we built for the Navy. And they're not necessarily utilizing it in their rate.
Okay.
So I want to modify the rate to be a fixed and variable. In other words, they tell us what they're projecting, and we're going to bill them monthly based on that projection. The rate's slightly different, but in that way, and that's a fixed charge to them. So it's a fixed charge for the distribution infrastructure and the power generating station, and then a variable cost on the fuel. And that way, if they want to give these, if they feel they're going to grow to 75 megawatts or whatever, we're going to bill them on it. Because we have to plan it.
what is the current practice?
Bill them on their actual usage.
The last, if I may, the last rate case, of course, and again, one of the participants in the rate case is the DoD, because they're a very large customer.
Right.
Last rate case also, and that carried on from the beginning, the first rate case. The ratchet portion is what Mark is talking about. Our regular customers, if you, in a 12-month period, if this was your highest demand, they were actually charged that same demand until it goes away after 12 months. DoD is not the same in that component. So that's something that's really asking to change, to again, make sure that the demand that the DoD is saying they will need is paid for appropriately.
Okay.
So we're going to get to that will come towards the end of this scenario. That would again provide, Mr. Chair, for a reduction on the base rate for the civilian component. But I do want him to go through if I may, having finished his presentation, which shows the total picture of everything, and then we'll get over to the expenses and then and all of that to dig in that deeply. But right now, I feel like, in a way, I'm sorry, Bart, that we're jumping from here to there, and other than both showing the whole thing. So, if Mr. Chair, just go through quickly his whole presentation, and then we'll have questions, if you will, because
I have a hard stop at 10:40. You guys can continue, but just so that and we can go through the rest of Mark's presentation. But please go back to the other production costs slide, because I do have to get a question answered here. Under administrative and general, you're retiring Cabris 1 and 2. What have you done on that side, on your O&M side, for, you're going to lose personnel, right? You're not going to need those people down there at Cabris 1 and 2. Have you factored that into here, where that comes out?
Wait, stand by one. We're not, just because we're losing Cabers 1 and 2 doesn't mean we're gonna eliminate 30 positions. We're reallocating those positions to other part of the organizations, because at the same time we are retiring. There's some people that are retiring, as you can see, over the next 3 to 5 years, 30 or 45%. And we don't need to retrain personnel. We just have to.
That's
so
fine,
that
John.
that
So
causes
the question
so.
is that if you
if
have
I
people
if I finish,
retiring, you have a reduction in staff. So I want to just see where you bake, right?
no, the reduction of staff is not immediate on
I
this
know.
one. The
But-
ones
but
that
the
are
real
immediate
increase
is
will be.
the O&M costs for cab, the PMC costs and all of that, and all of those are taken out. But not the labor for personnel, because again our plan is to reallocate them, because at the same time we're training new apprentices to
So
and
the
all that.
PMC cost is baked into it, the reduction
Yeah,
in that
the
cost?
PMC cost is reduced. That's
It's
the
baked into
1,
that.
2 million, maybe 3 million a year. The O&M cost, the materials, everything for cameras, that's all taken out. So John, you have to, again, we'll show you this is just this is a high level model, but John has his model that has all these components and to make it show it, Nick. But again, that's why I won't want to dwell in on that number, and because there's so many components to that in the Excel file. So, but John, we will print that out. But if I may, just go through and get to the conclusion of what we may, recommend, subject to all the adjustments that the CCU recommends. No?
All right, I'm going to jump to the cost of service slides. This slide represents how much it costs to provide service to each class of customer. So if you look in the bottom, it says 33% is needed. That's what we initially assumed. So that's, in a sense, the average adjustment. So what you're looking at is if the difference between the cost of service and the revenues is greater than 33% in any of these classes, that means that that class is getting a subsidization. If it's below the 33%, that means that those classes are providing the subsidization. Okay? So if you look at this, residential, remember the average is 33% increase would be identified, but we're identifying a 93% increase. All right. This is just in distribution costs. Small general, 9%. So in a sense, small general is subsidizing residential. Then small general is right at the average. So some of the larger classes, large power, minus 1.1. So they're providing, helping out with that subsidization. The same thing with all the governmentals. The condo and apartment is pretty much right at cost of service because we just did that rate. So now and then the Navy shows a 30.3, which is what this adjustment is projected to get based on the cost of service. So they're pretty much right on average also.
So on this slide, if you will, we're not going to ask us to reallocate this at this point in time. All we're asking is that based on this is figured that on overall across the board 33%.
3%.
That's whether we now balance this, because there's always a skewness in any rate case towards the residential. But this is what is showing. But again, the rate case that we'll be asking for is just to move it forward, and then those issues that are of make concern can be addressed to separate you know,
Increases within each.
filing to
Okay.
address these different concerns. No? But we do want to highlight that this is where it is. No, it used to be 40-some%, I think, if I remember back, but now it's because of the plan and all of that, that subsidy also. The cross subsidization within the rate case has increased. But again, we're not planning to come and say, bring that 92 down to 46, which means the residential ratepayer will now have a lesser net savings than here. I would like to ask that will be a different rate filing in the future.
Can
no?
you show us what it was like in 2012 when we first talked about this?
Uh,
Do you have that table?
No,
No?
we didn't do the study.
29?
So.
29?
I'm-
Oh,
you know-
yeah, the 2012 was,
I mean, just for,
yeah,
remember, none of us were here.
yeah.
Technically, we're not here, so.
John can check
Yes,
reset the file. Yeah.
2019, I think the
Well,
last.
whatever
Well, I
model
can
you
show you
can fit in,
2018.
Yeah, we have 2018.
that's fine. Put it in there to give us some reference point to
Yeah,
to see
we can
what we're
do that.
talking about, because, and then also, I think just for me in general, can you give us the class breakdown again? Because it's been a while since we've gone back in. Like I said, the last one we touched was our condo rate, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So just so I understand the graph numbers, the proposed base rate increase, 3% would result in a rate decrease of 0.9% for the government?
No.
What-
No.
How is it, how am I supposed
Oh, this is only the cost. There's the difference between the cost of service and the rate design. All right, we use the cost of service to give us, in a sense, that objective input in designing rates. The rate design looks at cost of service. Obviously, in an ideal world, everybody would charge that, but the reality is nobody is. Then there's other considerations. Social, what the objectives are of the communities. So those are the other ones that
So
modify.
I think part of his question is, what, who's pay, I mean, what would it look like if everyone was paying their full
Fair share.
100% share? No acuteness due to, again, like you were saying, like social. Or I think you said earlier, so anyone below, anywhere higher than 33
Is getting a
is
subsidy.
being subsidized.
Okay,
Yeah.
so basically what I'm
Anything below,
reading here
yeah.
is that based on the cost of service, if we were to implement a 33% base rate increase, to truly account for the cost of service, residential rates would have to go up 92%.
Yeah.
Large government would have to come down. So the negatives are who's subsidizing the positives.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
anybody below 33% is doing some sort of subsidy.
That's great. That's what this file is saying. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Good.
So this is just the customer charge, that fixed monthly charge. You're currently charging $15. The cost of service study says that fixed charge for residential should be $28. So it's like, for example, if we had changed rates, that increase was part of the overall rate package, the rate increase. Now, what that customer charge represents is when a customer has a meter installed on their home, the utility had the cost to install that meter. They also have the responsibility to repair it, to replace it, to read it every month, to send the customer a bill, and the cost of the service drop. Those are all fixed costs that do not vary based on consumption. All right.
Okay.
And if a customer is only a seasonal customer and they're not paying the appropriate fixed charge, then they're getting subsidized by other ratepayers.
Right.
But there's another component that's built into this that is controversial. Different rate consultants will look at it differently, and that is the line that runs between the substation and the going into the customer's facility. Now, what most rain analysts do, and we did, is we look at, we can't deliver electricity without that wire. So what's the minimum sizing requirement on that wire? And that amount is put into the cost of service and is part of this fixed customer charge. All right. Now, if any infrastructure cost above that minimum sizing goes into the usage component. The only reason I'm explaining that is because different rate consultants have different philosophies on it. All right. So the first part I mentioned, that's pretty straightforward. But that piece is not. Okay. I will say this, more and more in the industry are moving to doing it that way, and it's because of solar installations.
And so this is the cost of service analysis. However, it doesn't necessarily mean the impact of the proposed base rating.
Correct.
Go back. I mean, looking at this particular slide, I mean, if we had known, we knew that, for example, our current charge is 15 and we should have been at 28, I mean, I guess John Kim, how come we've never really wanted to talk about this at any point in time? Because the rate shock obviously is what we're trying to prevent, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's more a policy call. Mark, it's okay. It's just, when you look at this, I'm going, oh God, yeah.
I recall us talking about this when you did the
Condo one, right? Yeah.
And so we kind of did it for that, right?
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
didn't implement it for everybody else.
The other question I have, where's net metering in all this? Because that's a $5 million swing.
Yes, that's something we need to.
No, it's not something we've kind of pushed this can down the road, John.
Yes.
Okay, now it's right in front of us. Okay, so in addition to this going before the PUC, we need to force the issue now.
Yes.
Okay, it has to come that we need to tell our friends in the net metering world, you have to pay for the cost of what it's really costing us to keep you online. Otherwise, go off.
Yes.
Well,
There's no argument for us to go off.
It's with the PUC now, right? They just have.
They
have not.
Yeah, they have not entertained us for a long time.
Kind of like our fault too, because we're not poking
But
the.
we've done the hard work of getting it to them.
Yeah.
They just gotta hear it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe do the double whammy and say we want both
But
on the docket, right?
Even with that, though, even with the changes that we propose at the PUC, there's still going to be a subsidy if we don't correct these customers.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I think we all know that.
So that's what JB was referring to, right? We're not gonna address this now, but this is just a high level. We do need to address it at one point.
yeah.
Okay,
wait,
Commissioner Duenas, you had a question. You're
on
muted,
mute.
sir. You're muted. Turn your mic on.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me. I've been quiet for a while, but I do have a question and a comment because I will support a decrease in rate, but not an increase. And there's the reason behind where I stand is the Guam Power Authority belongs to the people of Guam. And, most of the people that are really hurting and paying, it's if you make maybe 30,000 to 60,000 per year, because most other ratepayers are subsidized by the federal government, or they can get some kind of help if you make lower than 30,000 a year. And so I hear a lot of increased proposal. But what I'm not hearing is where can we cut and trim on the different areas where we can save? For example, when we say we want to retire a unit, we have invested in a lot of this unit. There is a lot of money in those breakers, those motors, those pumps, the brass that we do have, the equipment in all of these units. I've worked in the supply department, I've worked in the transmission department and in the generator department. And we can use a lot of cutting and savings in the department. I like to see where can we trim, where can we pinch pennies to supplement, because we keep telling the public, yes, we build this big plant so we can save money, but now we're saying we need to pay so much money, we need to increase so we can pay for this power plant, when in essence, they're supposed to make the power and we just buy from them, is what I know, what I'm told, and then we contribute it to the people. So what I'm saying is, most of our work in Guam Power has been worked out. We have all the investment of our power poles, our underground substations are modernized, and so I like to see some areas where we can, Guam Power Authority is not private. We are there to serve the people, and so serving the people, I think for me, it's giving them what they deserve, and raising the rate for me, I'm sorry, but it's very, very difficult for me at this point until I see where we can cut and where exactly that why we need to increase. I am one commissioner that will be very, very difficult in supporting any increase at this point. And I'm sorry, that's where I stood from the very beginning, and that's where the people put me here. And so, yes, the presentation is nice, and we see the big picture, but I think for any customer, they want to see the dollars. How much do they pay? How much can they save? Because we're talking a lot of percentage-wise, 33%, but for a regular paying customer, they don't understand these things. All they are concerned is, how much dollars are you going to charge me more? And we need to educate and explain this to the people before we go continually, increasing our rates. And so, yeah, that's where I stand for now. So it's very, very difficult for me at this point to support any increase until I see the real detailed picture on where did we cut, how do we, like I said, we are mentioning that we are retiring things. We cannot just retire things and then there's a lot of money involved in those units that can be salvageable, and you make millions and millions of dollars. And so we can channel these things back to the needs of our expenditures. We can't just retire something and just get just the supply itself, the shelf supply that we do have
Yes.
in some of these units that are being mentioned to retire are a lot of money involved. And so, yeah, I appreciate the presentation, but for me, I just want to let you know up front, I like to side with the hurting people. I know there's a lot of expenses that are growing, and we can feel it at all the different areas of the inflation.
Mr.
But,
Chair?
Go ahead, Mama.
some people don't feel it as much as the regular
Let me
people
get
in
to
Guam.
the rate.
Either they have enough
Then
money and the others are being supplemented by federal government, through
Yeah,
subsidies.
but,
And
no,
so
if I may,
I like to
John
just
Kim
throw in
to
a
show
voice
what the
for the
numbers
regular
are,
hardworking
the rate by
middle class
and
people
then
that
everything we
everything
do,
in
and
Guam
then
is
we
so
add
expensive,
together, so that at least
and
we
then
can
here we are, trying to
Wanda,
give them a little
do
bit
that
more.
now. It won't take
I
long,
know we
and
can
then
operate these things when we cut areas where we can pinch pennies and still operate.
Okay.
So that's where thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nuez. John,
Yep.
proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and yes, I understand the concerns
Yes.
and wishes of the commission. At this time, I would just like to ask Mr. Kim to put up the what the numbers look like for each of the rate classes based on what we have put together today. And again, we can, you can recess, Mr. Chair, and we can go through all the different details and see what, and answer the concerns of the commission. But I think at least today, if we can show the
Present
public
it, sure.
what those numbers may mean to them, no? And of course,
Based on what we're presenting
based on
today.
what we're
Sure.
presenting, and then from there, so at least we cannot file that until you have agreed, and we will go
Correct.
through the work sessions to go through all the details. So, John K, can you go to your rate presentation that shows each of the classes from residential to general, what the number with the 33%, with the fuel savings that are coming, what does it mean to them in terms of their power bills beginning September 1st? That's the way we see it now, subject to further adjustments, no? Okay.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
so John, why don't we go ahead and go to the next resolution?
Okay.
Just so for the record, we at
Thank
least
you,
discussed it. And I
Mr.
think
Chair.
that one, that's on the
Yeah.
procurement for uniform security guard services.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
At least present that to us, and while we wait for them to.
Okay. Let me get to that one.
You just go there, that way we get it, because it's on our agenda.
Yes, Miss. Just one moment. Let me just find that portion here. Yes, Resolution 2025-12, Mr. Chair, is really, again, we have to have.
We have an existing agreement, correct?
We have an existing agreement expiring June
I
30.
saw that in June. Okay.
And so what we'll be asking yourself is to, again, go proceed with the bidding process.
Okay.
And because again, and we expect a 5-year cost to be about 5 million, of
Okay.
course. And so we will need
But this
your
is
approval.
going, as presented, out to bid.
Going to go out to bid.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Who's our current, who? PISA.
Lisa.
PISA.
So it's a straightforward resolution, again.
And this is for all our facilities.
that-
Okay.
There are 6 main locations.
Okay, yeah, I think I know, I just want to make clear that as we go through this.
Yep. And again,
Anything special that we should need to hear, Tracy?
No, it's pretty straightforward. The largest change would be that we're asking for a 5-year contract, so a 3-year
3 plus 1
base.
plus 1.
Plus 1 plus 1. We currently have, I believe, a 1 plus 1 plus 1.
Okay.
And then really it's when we go out, it'll just include some flexibility so that as we, for instance, when we close Cabris, for instance, within the 3-year base or the total 5-year period, if we needed to put a rover there and move a guard to a different position, we're able to do that. The reason we're looking for the flexibility is because through COVID and through Mawar,
so
we
lucky
realize what we need to do with certain things. We also, when we see more action, more sorry, not in a good way, but more thefts. We want to maybe increase some of the roving capabilities.
Okay.
And so PISA has been able to work with us in the past, but we want to formalize that in our bid.
Just, so you go, where are we factoring in, first part is more closed circuit TVs, improving that capability, and the other one is,
stuff.
when do we intend to harden some of our assets?
Yeah, so those are part of the, if you recall, the Sheffield Proof of Concept
Right.
project. And so with the physical security proof of concept project, that goes to a lot of the closed circuit TVs and monitors, right, cameras
Right.
that we put in. And so that's still underway. We completed installation at 4 sites as far as the physical
CCTV?
security
Okay.
proof of concept. For some of the cameras that we had ongoing, we recently completed, for instance, the Cabris warehouse, the Hulali upgrades. So those are underway. It's now consolidated under one contract. That we have newer cameras. Those cameras are able to feed in live stream and not on-site premise only recordings. So there's a lot of upgrades for that. In addition to all of those, we have ongoing the Fidian employee gate replacement project, so we have that. We're currently in the design phase of that. As I mentioned, we did upgrade the video surveillance system at Halali, and I spoke about Dededo. There's also the Cabris, and then the transportation supply. We're also looking at right now, engineering already has a bid packet out for the ACS. So when you come in, the ACS control system. So we're currently under a very old legacy ACS, and so this new ACS system will be able to tie into the new sensors by the elevators, for instance, and so those will be upgraded.
In other
and those are
words,
better.
you just can't come up the elevator.
Correct. Yeah, and this is important. You know, when we talk about security of information and security of systems, we look at what we have currently at SCADA, right, and at PSCC, and those areas really should be not only controlled, but we should be able to go back and see with finality who is accessing in and out.
You're telling me we don't
No,
have that?
we can currently do that. However, that requires you, for instance, to put your card directly on the ACS. If I had somebody piggyback behind me, you wouldn't know. So we're really looking to close those gaps in all of our security areas.
You have the new file, new file.
John B., John K., you ready? Not yet.
You don't have to, you have to give her the new one. One moment, Mr. Chair, but,
No, John B.,
Yeah.
you're, yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay still. If you're prepared, we can go for it.
so what we're gonna show you, Mr. Chair, and they're trying to get the latest, the last one, no? This is for, a
You need to
residential,
enlarge that, John.
oh, okay.
Candace, can you take it off and put just the slide on as opposed to the, you're working on it, okay. John K., can it, Mark, when is he projected, I'm sorry, when are you scheduled to leave us?
Not till Wednesday next.
Okay, good, we got time then, all right. We're looking, after discussing with Commissioner Jocklin, and I just need to check with my colleagues if we can come back. We'll recess till Monday at 8:30, if that's okay with our team. We'll finish the presentation and
Then
then
go
come
through
back
the-
in and
yep.
avoid, of course, Commissioner Sanchez is not here. That's one day before the actual regular board meeting.
We're fine with that, Mr. Chair.
Okay, all right. Is that okay, Peter? Monday, 8:30?
Anything that works for you guys, I'll make it work.
Okay, yeah, okay. What do you want to do? Afternoon? Okay, let me put it out to the colleagues.
Whatever time, the commission
lunch, or do you want
one
to do it
we're
during
set.
lunch? Can we do a working lunch on Monday, John?
Yeah, we'll
Working
set
lunch.
it up, yep.
You feed
And
us.
we'll have the model here, so we'll make copies and we'll have the model, so he'll explain everything.
All right.
Thank you. That's one there.
You heard it? Yeah. The reason why you feed us so we're not throwing stuff at each other.
That's the one.
So don't order chili.
Yeah, yes.
Yes. Hot dogs, okay, we're not chili.
Okay, can you see this, Mr. Chair?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, and again, I'll just go through it very
Real quick, this
quick, no?
is me, right, John, the average
Yep.
customer.
This is now, again, this is the various categories. Okay, back
Okay.
up
But
one. Back up
Schedule
one.
R is who?
Schedule R is residential. Can
Me,
go to the 500.
right? This is
Okay.
45,000 customers, correct?
And no, 500 kilowatt hours. This is
Okay.
not the average. For a 500 kilowatt hour customer, let's start with this. In February 1st, we impacted a new rate, right?
Okay,
On January 31st, the LIAC was 26.1995 cents a kilowatt hour. As of February 1st, the PUC approved that it go down to 20.88 cents. Okay? So this is where we are today, existing at a $94 a barrel cost. What we're proposing, what we have so far, subject to adjustments, is that, and again, we base it on a little higher price per barrel. If it was lower, that means more savings, no? Or so. Effective November 1st, 500 kilowatt hour customer will now have a LIAC of, with the 33% adjusted into the base rate, and a LIAC which now goes from 20.8 down to 13.58 because of the efficiency of Ukudu. It will mean that the customer will get an additional monthly savings of $20.90, which is about a 13.4% decrease from the existing bill as of February 1st for 500 kilowatt hours. For next page, for 1,000,
Base rate, John,
is
going from 15 to 20.
the base rate here. That's the monthly charts, but the base rate has gone. The 33% that Mark was showing is adjusted into this already. He's going like 6.9 to 9.0, 8.6 to 11. So it's all in here already, embedded already. So this is the bottom line to the customer based on the presentation that was there today. For the average customer, 1,000, the next page, here, they will have a 14.42% reduction of $44 a month. So again, beginning as of January, they save $53 with a drop of fuel, right? And then we'll serve an additional $44 a month beginning September 1st. No? And that's already inclusive with the payment for the Ukudu and everything like that. For 1,500 kilowatt hour, and again we have this is what will be filed in the at the end, right? Yeah. For next page, 1,500 again 14.75, a drop in $67. Next page, 20 again we're just doing the higher different categories. 2,000 kilowatt hour higher consumer, same ratio. But of course, higher $90 a month drop, right? Because the higher you consume, the greater. The next page, 2,500, 15% drop, and $115 a month drop, no? Depending on your consumption, the higher consumption. Okay, the next category is Schedule D, three-phase. We also have a 14% or $4,000 drop in their power bill, no? So again, this already embedded with the base rate increase. As we were always saying, the total fuel saving is huge. You pay for the base rate increase to pay for the power plan and still have net savings to the customers. So I will go through the different ones, Mr. Chair, but it's all going to be something on similar percentages. No, next. This is for Schedule P, which is large power. Here is an 8.46%, and the reason for that is because they're subsidizing. There's some subsidy in that portion, and their GDOE will be a large government. So we'll go ahead next. This is Schedule G, single phase, 9%, 160. Go ahead. Schedule G, three phase, 9%. Again, government is a lower percentage than the others, right? 9%. Next. Here is the Schedule J. Again, this is for single phase machines for 15%. This is some of these are falling into now even GWA. Next. Schedule J, three phase. This is the GWA type. Most of the machines are Schedule J, about 50% up.
On the kilowatt increase that we're seeing, right?
Yeah.
Just kind of be prepared to. I'm going to ask questions.
Yeah.
Why the increase?
Yeah.
The purpose of
Well,
the energy charge, for example.
the monthly charge. Yes. Okay.
That's here, plus also all the
Yeah.
broken out.
Yeah, it's all broken down, and we're the 30. So Mark and John will explain that and show that to you. But again, here are all the different kids. So the whole point is really there is a net savings to the overall to the customer. Whatever we do henceforward will only improve on this, no? As we go through with the commission as to what you.
What exactly is the monthly charge?
Yeah, it's Mark Bucha mentioned, the monthly charge is paid for the meters and the line distribution line to the meters.
Our actual meter that's at the
Yeah,
at the house?
yes,
or the-
yes.
And then whatever line we're using to deliver the power,
Correct. At the minimum sizing requirement.
minimum size. And that's, do you anticipate that charge there is how we buy new stuff? I mean, you're making, for example, on a monthly charge, it's gonna go up 35%.
It's, couple things. One is, current charge has been
Too low.
artificially.
I mean, inflation itself will
yeah.
drive that,
Yeah,
should
so-
explain the cost of materials to just bring stuff to Guam alone would justify 35% increase if we haven't touched it since, when's the last time we changed it?
2011, 2012.
There, I mean, right there alone will tell you that it's, first of all, it's hard to get. Supply chain issues that we're all facing. And then 35% right off. The cost to deliver that your service, probably more than that. We're probably not charging enough.
That's a good point, because the last time that base rate was changed was 2011.
Yeah. You can't detect it. All you have to tell me how much it was gas in 2011.
But gas all runs through the LEAC.
If you want to,
Right.
another hard case of cost of eggs, if you want to use it. Okay.
So that will, again, as we go through Monday, we'll explain everything as to what the changes are.
So Mark,
But,
this is I think the painful part that I could never understand why we do this. When we present to the PUC, they're going to turn around and tell us that we're going to have to hire a consultant, I'll consultant you. I mean, that's the reality we're going to face here, and our sister company just went through hell.
I don't know if it matters in out-consultant.
But that's exactly what Georgetown does.
Yeah, they're gonna look at, okay, the projections that we made, are they reasonable?
Okay.
You know, are they, they may challenge the cost of service study itself, I doubt that. Georgetown, they will.
I hope it's not them, but, given the
But they
history of
will
the PUC.
challenge the financial modeling. And, you know, the projections that we made, that we went through today, we spent a lot of discussion on it. And this is why it's so valuable, the $8 million, I actually should have taken out in 27. That's another 1.5% potential reduction. Those are the things we have to make sure we go there to limit or minimize what Georgetown can find, or whoever it is.
So, okay, so again, our point is, the savings are there. How much more? We will work on it, no? Okay. All right.
I just want to say one more thing about it, you know, because I especially ran into this with Damar, the previous consultant, is they use their opinions in making it felt like they were using their opinions to make their arguments to the PUC. In other words, their opinions about things like renewable energy or, you know, as a consultant, that's not my role. It shouldn't be my role. That's your role, not mine. My role is to tell you the facts. My role is to help guide you and tell you the positives and negatives. It's not to interject my opinion. And I want you to understand that. Now, the previous consultant with Daymark, they did that. That's not the consultant's role, or shouldn't be. At least I've never viewed it that way.
Okay.
So,
All right. So, it's just you and I. No, we need to move to have a motion to recess till 12 noon on Monday. Is that okay?
Melvin, there's Commissioner
Chair, I'd
Duenas,
like-
is he
Wait.
okay? He understand? Yeah.
Mr. Duenas, Commissioner
Yeah.
Duenas?
Yes, so these are the numbers that we're looking at. These are the numbers that, subject to adjustments by the commission, will be published. And these are the numbers we'll be looking to file towards the PUC. So at minimum is showing, as you can see, a savings to the ratepayers, no? As a result of the action to, again, one is, of course, we have to adjust the base rate, otherwise we cannot pay the bills, no? And secondly, we have to have additional, we have to have adequate funding to be able to do our maintenance and keep the system reliable and all of that. And have the opportunity to file, to, again, find additional savings, no? So, there is a savings to the ratepayers. So now we can go through Monday and Tuesday. We can explain. We do have a model that shows all the different expenses that we project and based on experience and everything. No, so we can answer that on Monday. Any other questions you may
Commissioner
have?
Duenas, you're going to be available on Monday? I'm sorry that it.
Yeah, but if I'm not in the area, I'll attempt, yeah.
We'll send you, as soon
Okay.
as we finalize, we'll send you but it's going to be definitely Monday. Our Monday, your
Yeah,
Sunday.
just send me the invitation and the link, and
Okay,
I'll be there.
thank you very much.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move
Thank you.
that we recess our meeting until Monday, February
Monday
24th.
at 12 noon, all right? Motion is accepted. Thank you,
All right.
colleagues. Thank you, John B., John K.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, commissioners.
You know,
Thank you.
what's that?